Many of you, especially my regular subscribers, will know who I am and what I do on YouTube. I do a range of topics: house renovations, the conspiracy of JFK murder, and I do a lot of metal detecting videos. Today I'm going to do something different, and that topic is about UFOs. Before you go saying he's a nut job, hear me out. I watch a channel called Secure Team 10, but I've had an interest in UFOs long before he brought his channel out. You should check him out. I'll put his link on the screen underneath there. Go check him out. He's got 1.2 or 1.3 million viewers, and he comes up with some very credible stuff. And that's what I want to talk about, credible stuff. So for example, there's been many sightings by US Air Force pilots, commercial aircraft pilots, very credible witnesses, majors, generals in the Army and the Air Force. You can't call them nut jobs. These are very credible witnesses. And I want to tell you about a thing that happened to me that started many years ago in New Orleans. I met this admiral in the British Navy, and his name was Sir John Rawlins. We spoke for a few minutes, and I never got onto the topic of UFOs. You don't do that with them sort of people, because immediately you think they'll call you crazy. But that's where it started, and I want you to follow this story, and I want you to look at the evidence I've got to produce and present to you, and I want you to tell me what you think, what you draw from the conclusion of my story. Thanks for looking in. It started in the year 1999. I was working for a New York City scuba diving magazine. I was attending the Diving Equipment Marketing Association, or DEMA, show in New Orleans on their behalf. After the show each night, there was generally some party or other thrown by some scuba manufacturing companies at their stand, free beer and snacks and that sort of thing. There was also the main party thrown by the show organisers, but this was a very lavish and upmarket event. You needed to be one of the elite rich company owners to get an invite to this one. This was strictly VIP. However, on this particular occasion, the party was organised by a newly elected board member to DEMA, Dick Lucas. I know Dick pretty well, and by a stroke of luck I was given an invite to attend this lavish party. Shortly after arriving, Dick introduced me to a Sir John Rawlins, Surgeon Vice Admiral to the Queen of England and Knights Commander to the Order of the British Empire. A pretty impressive title, I thought. Sir John had many years of experience in hard hat diving and scuba diving. I had quite a long chat on the topic of Oliver Cromwell, a topic of which I had studied for 48 years. After 10 minutes or so, we parted the ways, never to see or hear each other again, or so I thought. The years rolled by, and I got on with my life and interests like every other normal person. One of those interests were on the topic of UFOs. I would look at YouTube videos on this subject, and one particular day a video caught my eye about underground aliens. It was a video about a man named Phil Schneider, who claimed that he had built underground bases for the US military, and while building one such underground base had encountered aliens. I won't go into too much detail, but the events took place in Dulce, New Mexico, in which, according to Phil Schneider, 63 Green Berets were killed by aliens in a running battle. Phil Schneider himself was almost killed and lost several fingers, but he was saved by one of the Green Berets. He now saw it as his duty to tell the world and the public of this event. I watched the video with some skepticism. He produced some artifacts of various metals of which he claimed were specially produced for the Black Bird project and various other projects. These metals had been produced through back engineering of alien craft and so on. He then produced a piece of metal that he had claimed to be from the Roswell spacecraft. He said it was given to him by Sir John Rawlins. I was taken aback when I heard Snyder mention the name of Sir John Rawlins, but I brushed it aside, thinking that if Rawlins had got access to the British royal family, he would surely not be connected or want to be connected to something that might ridicule the royals like this. So life passed by. I forgot about it, but I still kept an interest in the UFOs. As always, and through the years, I checked out YouTube videos on the topic, and some years later, around 2015, I came across a short YouTube video clip by Timothy Good, and it was called British Military and Royal Staff Member Sir Peter Horsley Meets E.T. This was worth a look, I thought. If this was true, then maybe there just might be some credence to the story of Phil Schneider's underground alien battle, as this returned to my mind. Just check the link. I'll post it in the credits below. I was hooked after seeing this. Sir Peter Horsley, equerry to the Duke of Edinburgh. Two direct connections to the royal family, one to the Queen and the other to her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh. This can't be coincidental, and Rawlins must have known Horsley, I was thinking. Both were very high-ranking military men with access to sensitive files, and they both worked for the royal family. This was no coincidence, I thought. Horsley used to work for the Ministry of Defence, and as such would have worked with UFO files. But now he was working for the Duke. So the story goes, one day Horsley was approached by the Duke and asked him to dig up some information on these UFOs, as he had an interest in it. He'd been hearing about them, and Horsley, with his connections to the MOD, put the word out for any information for the Duke. Sometime later, Horsley received a phone call and he was told to go to an address in London. He set off, and on arrival at the address, a Mrs. Markham answered the door and invited him in. There were two chairs seated in front of a log fire, and shortly after, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Janus came in. They sat and began a discussion which alarmed Horsley as it went on. The stranger seemed to know all of Britain's nuclear secrets. It alarmed Horsley, and he returned to the palace, and after meeting with the Duke, and he told him of this uncanny encounter, the Duke told Horsley to return, as it might be a security problem. So he returned to check out this Mr. Janus again, and on his arrival, Mrs. Markham and the man in question were nowhere to be found, and the room was totally different in arrangement as from the previous meeting. This haunted Horsley, and he wrote this account in his memoirs called Sounds from Another Room. This is a true account relayed by a man whose integrity is beyond question. Top high-ranking military men do not acquire positions in the military and with the royal family if they are three sheets to the wind. These are very high-ranking, responsible people who have served their country with distinction and are not prone to illusions. The royals and high-ranking military people are the very people who would have access to top-secret alien files, should they seek it. In the US, there is a list as long as my arm of high-ranking military men, and even senators and presidents amongst them. You cannot simply dismiss these people as lunatics. People like Major Jesse Marcel, Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso, astronaut Gordon Cooper, President Jimmy Carter, and many, many more credible people. Therefore, I am led to believe that their accounts of UFOs and alien bodies are not figments of their imagination or based on hearsay, but accounts that are based on encounters assessed by highly intellectual, intelligent human beings. I hope that in some way I've filled in a few of the missing dots from the puzzle and that you found this interesting. I know that it has for me, and I hope that one day our government will come clean on this issue and tell you all about it. Thanks for watching.